Hey everyone, welcome to our channel. Today I'm going to tell you the story of a movie about a brother and sister who, after their father's death, move into a new house, unaware that it's not a safe place for them and that each day they will face strange and unsettling events. If you enjoy it, please don't forget to like and subscribe. Piper is a young, beautiful girl who suffers from a visual impairment. She can't see her surroundings and is only able to distinguish colors. Because of this, she struggles to make friends at school. One day, she gathers her courage and asks a few classmates to come with her to the city center. Just then, Andy, her stepbrother, shows up to take her home. Piper wants to go with her classmates, but since they don't respond, she ends up leaving with Andy. On the way, Andy sees the girls mocking Piper. He gets upset that they don't treat her like a normal person. Back at home, Piper comes to Andy and says she's been calling for their dad in the bathroom, but he won't answer. Following the walls, she makes her way to the kitchen, grabs a knife, and brings it to Andy. Andy unlocks the bathroom door and finds their father dead inside. Piper asks Andy what happened, but he's in shock and just stares. She feels around and finds their father's body, but no matter how much she shakes him, he doesn't respond. They're taken to a child services center where they're told they'll be placed with new families. The supervisor, Wendy, informs them that a foster mother named Laura wants to take Piper in. Wendy tells Andy that Laura has had trouble with trauma-affected children before, so they've arranged a different home for him. He tells Wendy he doesn't want to be separated from Piper and promises to behave at Laura's. Wendy agrees. The next day, they move in with Laura. She's excited to see them and warmly welcomes them. They take a group photo, but Andy's face ends up cut out of the picture. Laura doesn't seem to mind. Laura gives Piper a tour of the house and her new room. Andy notices the house has been modified for a blind person. He asks Laura if she made those changes for Piper. Laura says they were originally for her own blind daughter, who passed away some time ago. Andy and Piper are saddened by the news. Later, when they go outside to see the backyard, Laura warns them not to let the cat slip out. But Andy isn't paying attention, and the cat escapes. He finds the cat in the pool, being grabbed by a young boy, Oliver, while the cat claws at him to get away. Laura rushes over, separates them, and explains that Oliver is her nephew who lost his family a few years ago and now lives with her. Oliver behaves oddly and never speaks. While unpacking the car, Andy notices a white line painted on the ground but doesn't know what it's for. In reality, it forms a boundary around the entire house. Laura gives Piper the nicest room, while Andy is stuck in what's basically a storage room. That night, once everyone's asleep, Laura puts a videotape into a VCR and watches it intently. It's footage from some kind of ritual. Andy sees them sneaking into the shed through his window. The next morning, Laura takes them to their father's funeral. Piper says goodbye one last time, but Andy can't even look at the body. While they're seeing off the guests, Laura quietly approaches the coffin, snips off a piece of their dad's beard, and hides it in her purse. Outside, she tells Andy to give his father a proper goodbye, saying there's no point being afraid of him anymore. Andy walks with her to the casket. Laura tells him to kiss his father's forehead. Andy is so terrified he can barely breathe. Laura forces him to lean down and kiss it. On the way back home, Oliver smashes his room window and cuts his hand badly, but doesn't seem to feel any pain. He heads toward the shed and tries to open it, but it's locked. Back at the house, they decide to have a little party to lift their spirits. Oliver watches them suspiciously from outside. They drink so much they all get completely wasted, and eventually Andy and Piper pass out. Laura carries a bowl into the bathroom and pees in it. Then, she quietly sneaks into Andy's room and pours it on his pants to make it look like he wet himself. She takes his phone and deletes all the photos he took inside the house. Suddenly, she hears her cat outside. She looks out the window and sees Oliver once again holding it over the pool. She brings Oliver inside and tends to his wounds in the bathtub. She tells him she knows he's starving and can't take it much longer, but he just needs to hold on a little more. Suddenly, the faucet bursts open. When Laura tries to turn it off, she sees Oliver's true face reflected in the mirror, and it terrifies her. The next morning, Andy thinks Piper and Laura are still asleep. He grabs his clothes to throw them in the laundry, but finds them already in the laundry room. He tries to run, but Laura stops him and takes his clothes. She sniffs them and realizes what happened, and Andy is mortified with shame. When Laura and Piper leave the house for a while, Andy tries to bond with Oliver, hoping to understand him better. But he realizes Laura's locked Oliver's room. He grabs a knife from the kitchen, unlocks the door, and goes in to talk. Oliver still won't respond. Andy gives him a pencil and paper, hoping he'll at least write something. Then Andy slices up some fruit and offers a piece. But instead of just taking the fruit, Oliver grabs the entire knife. Andy turns to grab a plate, and when he looks back, he sees Oliver has shoved the blade into his mouth like he's trying to eat it. Andy snatches the knife away and rushes him outside to take him to the hospital. But when they reach the white line, Oliver refuses to cross. Andy pulls him across, and the moment they do, Oliver collapses screaming. He completely loses control and seems to go insane. Andy lifts Oliver's shirt and sees something moving inside his body. Right then, Laura and Piper arrive. Laura pulls Andy away from Oliver. Andy grabs Piper and rushes her into the house. He starts to panic, and Piper tries to calm him down, telling him everything will be okay. Andy sees what Oliver wrote on the paper. Bird. Meanwhile, Laura replays the videotape, trying to remember how to regain control of Oliver. Oliver begins to scream. She follows the steps shown in the ritual video exactly, and Oliver gradually calms down again. Laura comes out of the room, furious at Andy. Piper goes with her to try to soothe her. Knowing Piper can't see, Laura gives Oliver the piece of beard she took from their father's corpse and tells him to eat it. Andy tries to calm himself by taking a shower. Suddenly, the door creaks open, and he sees the silhouette of a man behind the glass. He's terrified, frozen against the wall. The man tells him that Piper will die when it rains. Andy, thinking he's hallucinating, slowly steps forward until he realizes it's actually his dad standing there. He panics and tries to run, but he slips on the wet floor, smacks his head, and blacks out. When he wakes up, he's in a hospital with doctors surrounding him. He hears the sound of rain outside the window. He tries to get up and warn them that Piper is in danger, but the doctors hold him down and sedate him. At home, while Laura is watching old videos of her daughter, Piper sits next to her and asks how her daughter died. Laura replies that she drowned in the pool. She then takes Piper to the storage room and gives her one of the dresses her daughter used to love. Laura forces her to touch something, hoping she might guess what it is, but Piper has no idea what terrifying secret her stepmother is hiding in that storage room. The next morning, Laura visits Andy. When Andy regains consciousness, he asks about his sister. Laura tells him she's perfectly fine, which puts Andy somewhat at ease. He's discharged from the hospital and returns home, but his condition is even worse than before. Memories from the past constantly haunt him, and he can't calm his mind. That night, while everyone's asleep, Laura quietly sneaks into Piper's room and punches her hard in the face. Piper screams and calls for help, but no one hears her. In the morning, when Andy wakes up, he sees a bruise under Piper's eye. He asks Laura who did this to her, and Laura blames him. Andy asks Piper directly, and she says she didn't see anything, but she smelled Andy on the attacker. Laura starts tearing down Andy's character, blaming him for recent events, but he tries to stay calm. He sees Oliver through the window, and something about him looks different. He tries to record a video of him with his phone, but Laura attacks him and tries to take the phone. Andy snaps and throws her off. He tries to escape, but the door is locked. Laura grabs his phone and smashes it on the floor. Andy lunges at her with all his strength, punches the wall in anger, and the wall cracks open. Piper screams and begs Andy to stop. He immediately gets in the car and drives to Wendy. While waiting inside the community center, he notices a missing child poster on the wall. The name on it, Connor Bird. He tells Wendy everything and begs her for help. He even shows her the missing poster and says he thinks Laura kidnapped this kid. Wendy is shaken and decides to go to the house herself. Meanwhile, Piper goes to her private club to calm down. Back home, Laura returns to find Oliver has destroyed the entire place and eaten everything in sight. She tells him it's still too early. He has to wait a bit longer. But Oliver attacks her and bites a chunk out of her arm. Terrified, Laura runs to her room and locks the door behind her. After a few minutes of silence, she cautiously opens the door and steps out. She sees Oliver standing by the pool. Laura, with her bloody hand, draws a symbol on the glass. It means it's time. She lets Oliver into the storage room and allows him to eat a piece of her daughter's corpse. Wendy calls Laura to say she's coming over for a visit. Laura frantically starts cleaning up the shattered glass and mess. She does everything she can to make sure Wendy doesn't suspect anything. She even wraps her injured hand in a bath towel to hide it. Wendy arrives and starts looking around the house, but finds nothing suspicious. Andy steps out of his car, and the missing poster of Connor Bird falls to the ground. He sneaks into the backyard. When he sees the door is locked, he breaks it with a heavy object. He finds Oliver eating a corpse and is frozen in terror. Meanwhile, Wendy notices Laura is injured and bleeding. Then she hears Andy scream from outside. Laura grabs Wendy's hand and won't let her go. Wendy tries to pull away, but Laura tells her she's finally going to see her daughter again after all these years. When Wendy realizes Laura has lost her mind, she breaks free and runs to find Andy. She finds the daughter's corpse in the storage room, and they decide to escape immediately. But just as they get into the car, another vehicle slams into them at full speed. Laura steps out and sees that Wendy is dead. When she checks on Andy, he's still breathing. Laura forces Andy's head underwater, and with no strength left to resist, he drowns in a few seconds. Laura goes to find Piper and brings her home. Oliver mimics Andy's voice and calls out to Piper. She follows the voice, but the moment she touches Oliver's head, she realizes it's not Andy. Laura appears and tells her Andy is in his room. Piper asks what Oliver's hair looks like. Laura says it's curly and red, but Piper knows she's lying because in her eyes, Oliver has no hair at all. Piper runs from Laura and hides in the bathroom. As Piper backs away, she bumps into something. She sits on the floor, and by touching the orthodontic braces, she realizes it's Andy. She calls out to him, but he doesn't respond. Laura returns with a key and opens the door. She attacks Piper, and when Piper tries to escape, she hits her head on a pillar and passes out. Laura drags her to the pool and submerges her whole body, trying to drown her. Piper regains consciousness underwater and screams, thrashing to break free. Laura holds her down with all her might, and Oliver is ready. The moment Piper dies, he'll devour her. But just then, Piper breaks the surface and says, Hearing that word, Laura flashes back to her own daughter, to the moment she tried to save her from drowning but was too late. Her maternal instinct kicks in. She can't go through with it. She lets Piper go. Piper climbs out of the pool, but as she runs, Oliver attacks. She kicks him in the stomach and escapes. Oliver chases after her, but sees she's crossed the white line. He can't follow her anymore. A car finds Piper and stops to help. Oliver sees the missing poster of Connor Bird on the ground in front of it. He knows that crossing the white line means death, but he does it anyway. The police find Piper and start searching the house. They find Oliver bleeding heavily, but alive. He asks them for help and tells them his real name is Connor Bird. They find Laura holding her daughter's corpse, drowned in the pool. Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, you know what to do.